Some meals are about the food, others are about the experience. But cooking at a remote Aussie station deep in the Outback blends both into something unforgettable. A raw, honest connection with the land, the people, and the sheer challenge of making a meal when nothing comes easy. The Australian Outback is vast, untamed, and often unforgiving. Yet, within this wild landscape, remote cattle stations thrive, and life unfolds far from supermarkets, trendy restaurants, or any hint of modern convenience. Out here, cooking is not about following a recipe. It is about resourcefulness, respect for the land, and sharing moments over food that reflect the rugged spirit of the Outback itself. Let us explore 5 key aspects of Outback dining at a remote Aussie station. The unique challenges of sourcing ingredients, the magic of open, fire cooking, the role of community in every meal, the creative ways locals bring flavor to the bush, and the deeper meaning of sharing food in the heart of Australia's wilderness. The challenge of sourcing ingredients in the middle of nowhere, living and cooking at a remote station in the Australian Outback starts with one undeniable fact: supplies are scarce, and the nearest store could be several hundred kilometers away. Supermarket runs happen once a month, if that. And when they do, you load up with essentials: flour, sugar, long-life milk, rice, pasta, and tinned goods that can withstand the brutal heat and the long haul over dusty roads. Fresh produce is a rare treat, often packed carefully to last as long as possible. Meat, however, is a different story. On cattle stations, beef is more than plentiful. Often, it comes directly from the station's own herd. There is something grounding about cooking meat that was raised on the land you stand on. Grass, fed, free, range, and harvested with respect. It does not come wrapped in plastic or stamped with a barcode. It comes as a side of beef stored in a station's cold room, portioned out when needed. Hunting and foraging also play their part. Kangaroo, if allowed and ethically sourced, might end up on the grill. Bush tomatoes, quandongs, and native herbs bring bursts of flavor straight from the land. Even something as simple as wild honey found in a tree hollow can transform a meal. And here is something worth reflecting on. How often do we stop to think about where our food comes from? Outback cooking strips away the layers of convenience and reminds you that every meal starts with the land, hard work, and often a bit of luck. The art and soul of open, fire cooking in the Outback. The kitchen does not always have walls. Open, fire cooking is not just a necessity. It is a tradition and an art form in itself. Whether it is a cast iron camp oven buried in hot coals or a makeshift grill set over a blazing fire, the Outback kitchen thrives on simplicity and skill. Bread takes the form of damper, a traditional bush bread made from flour, water, and a pinch of salt, cooked right in the ashes of the fire. There is nothing like breaking open a hot damper and spreading on a slab of bush-made butter or a drizzle of local honey. Stews bubble slowly in camp ovens, flavored with whatever herbs and spices the cook can muster, thickened by time and smoke rather than fancy techniques. Grilled meat is not a rushed affair. It is seasoned with salt, maybe a rub of native pepperberry, and cooked over glowing embers until it reaches a smoky, tender perfection. The fire itself becomes part of the meal. Its heat, its smoke, and even its scent soaking into every bite. And in a place where electricity can be unreliable or non-existent, learning to read the fire becomes a vital skill. Too hot, and you ruin the meat. Too cold, and you risk raw centers. Cooking becomes an act of patience, intuition, and respect for a method as old as humanity itself. And here is something to stir your imagination. When was the last time you cooked something not with a timer or a dial, but by feel, by instinct, by listening to the crackle of a fire beneath the stars? Outback cooking invites you back to those roots. Meals as the heartbeat of station community life on a remote Aussie station is built around hard work, long days of mustering cattle, fixing fences, and maintaining a life where everything is done by hand. In this setting, shared meals become more than just a break. They are the heartbeat of the community. The cook, often called the station cook, holds a respected role. They rise before dawn to prepare hearty breakfasts, pack lunches for workers heading out on horseback or motorbike, and spend the day preparing dinners that feed a hungry, dust-covered crew. These meals are not fancy, but they are generous, filling, and served with the understanding that food fuels not just the body, but the spirit around the table. Whether in a dusty station kitchen or by a roaring campfire, stories are shared, laughter echoes, and bonds are forged. Meals create a space where the hierarchy of station life fades away. Stockmen, managers, cooks, and visitors all sit side by side, brought together by the simple need to eat and the deeper need to connect. And here is a question to ask yourself: how many of our meals are truly shared experiences anymore? In the Outback, every meal is a moment of connection, a pause in the grind of hard living, and a reminder that community thrives when it gathers around a shared table. Creativity and bush ingenuity in Outback cooking. Outback cooking is nothing if not creative. With limited supplies and unpredictable resources, station cooks and locals alike develop a knack for bush ingenuity. Substitutions, improvisations, and inventive recipes born of necessity become the backbone of every meal. Ran out of yeast. The damper recipe switches to baking soda and vinegar. No fresh vegetables. Tinned beans, dried peas, and long-lasting onions step in. Need dessert for a crew of hungry workers. A simple golden syrup pudding cooked in a camp oven becomes a crowd pleaser. Even modern dishes get a bush twist. Pizza dough might be cooked in a pan over an open fire, topped with whatever cheese and cured meat is on hand. Pancakes become hearty with a handful of powdered milk and a spoon of local honey. And coffee? Well, nothing beats Billy tea or a strong cup of Campfire brew shared with mates at dawn. And let us not forget the embrace of native ingredients. Lemon myrtle, wattle seed, bush tomatoes, and finger limes add bold flavors straight from the land. What city chefs see as exotic, station cooks see as part of daily life. And here is something worth considering. True creativity often comes not from abundance, but from making the most of what you have. The Outback kitchen proves that great meals are less about luxury and more about heart, adaptability, and a good dose of bush smarts. Sharing food as a deeper connection with land and life. Cooking and eating at a remote Aussie station goes beyond the physical act of making a meal. It becomes a way of honoring the land, respecting the labor that goes into every bite, and finding meaning in the everyday act of sharing food. There is a deep understanding among station communities that food comes with effort. From raising cattle to harvesting bush ingredients. From driving hundreds of kilometers to pick up supplies to cooking over fire in the searing heat. This awareness creates a natural gratitude that is often missing in more convenient lifestyles. Sharing a meal in the Outback is a ritual of respect. It is about more than just feeding the hungry. It is about pausing to appreciate the land's gifts, the hard work of those who bring the food to the table, and the simple pleasure of sitting together at the end of a long day. Outback Dining teaches you that food is never just food. It is a connection to the land, to the community, and to the shared experience of living in one of the toughest, most beautiful places on earth. And here is a lasting thought. When you strip away the distractions, when every meal means something, food becomes one of life's greatest connectors. The Outback reminds you of that with every bite. If you ever find yourself longing for a deeper connection with food, with people, and with the raw beauty of nature, the Outback offers that in its purest form. Outback Dining is a taste of real Australia, rugged, generous, honest, and unforgettable. And if this stirred something within you, make sure to join us for our next video, where we explore the world's most remote culinary traditions and the powerful stories of people who cook with heart, resourcefulness, and a deep love for the land they call home.